Welcome on into another Connection, the voice of the Who's for the College Huddle. Tonight we have with us a true UVA football legend, a 2004 consensus All-American offensive lineman, retired NFL veteran, and current offensive coordinator for the Newport News Apprentice School football program team, Elton Brown. How are you doing tonight, Elton?
Pretty good. Thanks for the intro, Jack. I like that.
Give a little credit to the behind-the-scenes person, too. So we're excited to have you on and hear all about your career at UVA and the NFL. But we kind of want to start back at the end of your high school career. So what was your recruitment like, and what made you choose to attend UVA?
It was actually pretty. It's a lot different nowadays, but it was actually pretty fun back then. I actually committed to Coach Welsh, and then I believe he retired in December, I want to say. I think it was like December. So in January, Coach Groh came in, and I think mid-January, Coach Groh and Coach Brown, who was our special teams coordinator at the time, they both came down to Hampton. And, I mean, just to see these guys walk through the hallways with these long trench coats on like like the Mafia guys from back in the day. But just to have a great conversation with those guys in the office and them just kind of tell me what their vision was, what their plan was. I was so when he left, I called probably the next day, like, yeah, I'm on board.
Wow. Awesome.
We're glad.
Yeah, and the rest, like they say, the rest was history, right?
That's right. Yeah. So when you got to UVA and you started playing college ball, was there like a big time moment, whether it was, I mean, obviously it was in a game, but just a moment that stuck out first couple seasons that you're like, man, like this is big time college football. Like I'm here.
Well, I think one of the hardest things, especially back then, I know now we talk about these days, everybody wants to play. And if they're not playing, they're transferring and all these things. So back then it wasn't a thing of, all right, I'm going to go here. If it doesn't work out, I'm here the next, I had to sit out a season. So for me, it was coming in, and I was a young guy. I think at the time we had, I think everybody but Kevin Bailey, who was our center at the time. Everybody was seniors on the offensive line. No, Jameis Jones. Jameis Jones wasn't a senior. He was a junior, I think. Or was he? I can't remember. But I know we had a bunch of vet guys. So I really came in expecting not to play. I really was like, okay, I'm going to get in here, do what I got to do, and just be ready when my number's called my sophomore year. So we ended up losing a couple games. That was a rough season that first year Groh was there. So we lost a couple games, and I remember Coach coming in, and he said, well, do you want to play on special teams? And I'm like, man, I just want to play. So I think I got my first game time and field goal block. And I want to say I blocked in my second. It was either my first or second game I got a block. I think it was against Duke. I got a field goal block, and I was hyped and all this. So Coach came in maybe 2 games after that, and he was like, look, we're going to shake some things up. We're not playing well on offense, not playing well on defense. Just give guys chances. So Alvin Pyramid at the time had already been playing as a freshman. So Coach Groh was like, I guess we'll throw some more freshmen in the mix. So I got my first start against Wake Forest in my freshman year. And I think at that time it was like the first freshman to start in the line in like 40 years or something like that.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Just to get that opportunity. And at the time it was a senior in front of me. So for the rest of my career, I always thought about that. It was one of those things where I'm never going to let anybody take my position. Like, I'm going to work as hard as I can. So, because I know what it was like to be the guy waiting and then to get that opportunity. So for me, it was always be the best you can be, do what you have to do, but always remember, like, this is your position until you leave. And that was my mindset.
Kind of the same style question. What about when you got to the NFL? Was there like a big time moment where like, man, I made it. I'm pro. I'm in the big leagues now.
It was interesting because I got drafted on draft day. I was still the number 1 interior lineman. I didn't go into the 4th round. So of course I was bummed about that. But I think everything happens for a reason. It was meant for me to go to Arizona. I needed to get away, I think, from Virginia to kind of be far away to kind of just do what I had to do. So going out there, I actually got the opportunity to start right away. I came in and started as a rookie. My third game, we were the first team to start the international football game. So 2005 was the 49ers versus the Cardinals in Mexico. And the 49ers had an old vet. I think he's in the Hall of Fame, Brian Young. And it was the first play of the game. We had just kicked the ball off. I mean, we had just received the kickoff. And the first play of the game, like in college, I'm used to like just overpowering guys and things like that. And so he kind of moved. So I'm shifting in my stance to kind of combat what he's going to do. He move again. They shift. Right before the snap of the ball, he moves. And I just jump out of my stance. And he clubs me. When I tell you it was like a Reggie White club, he clubbed me all the way across the field. And so in college, when I get the club, I was like, I'm fast enough I could turn over my shoulder and catch him. This guy clubs me. I turn around. He's so fast that when I turn around, he's sacking the quarterback, balls on the ground. First play of the game, man, they strip, sack, fumble, and they get the ball on like the 4-yard line. So it was like we only played like a minute. So I'm like, man, listen, either you get it together or it's gonna be a short ride back. It was so for the rest of the game, it was like everywhere he went, I was just following. And I remember it was probably like the third quarter, and it was right before like a TV timeout. He was like, "Hey, listen, young fella, we good, man. Just chill out." I was just like, man, never again, man. I cannot let this happen again. So that was kind of like my welcome. That was like my welcome to the NFL moment. So it was like, yeah, I made it, but everybody here is supposed to be here. So that's why I'm come and play football now.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. So switching gears again as we kind of bounce from UVA, now we're going to go back to UVA. Do you, and it might be what you mentioned with the block, but do you have a favorite football memory from your time at UVA?
Oh man, I have so many. I think being young, I want to say it was my junior season. We were playing Clemson. No, it must have been that same sophomore season. We were playing Clemson at home, and we ran a reverse on the goal line, Billy McMullen, and they tossed it. And he tripped over somebody's foot, and so he's tripping, and it's just one guy out there, and it's a corner, and I just kill him, and he just falls in the end zone, like he falls into the end zone. So that was a good one. We had a game at Duke where we were playing down at Duke, and it was just me and the DB on the goal line. Like, I killed them, and Pyramid like walked in the end zone. But I think
he had a lot behind you.
Yeah, man. It was. I think my favorite one was probably Maryland. It was at home my junior season. They had E.J. Henderson. I think he won the Buckets that year. So I was hyped to play that game because I knew he was on his way to winning that. But it was like 3rd and 22, and we ran a screen. And we ran the screen, like I get out, I knock one guy down, and I look back, and the running back still coming. So I'm like, okay, cool, let's run. So we just running down the field, and I get to the goal line, and I kill another guy, and we score. This place is going crazy, man. I was like, yeah, this is – and I actually had a stress fracture in my foot. So I'm in the end zone celebrating, and the pain meds wore off. So
oh no.
The adrenaline was just gone.
Yeah, so it was good that put us up 48-22. So I was able to come out the game.
Oh man.
But that was that was pretty fun.
Yeah. This sounds like some a long screenplay like that's got to be great.
Yeah.
So how many of those UVA guys from your era, from the years that you were there, is there any that you particularly still keep in touch with on a regular basis?
I try to. Me and Marcus Higgins. Higgins was the quarterback. So we actually were roommates as well. So of course we always talk. Ray Mann. Most of the guys that came in my class. I mean, that's. I think one of the advantages of playing back when I did. And I know I say back when I did like it's a long time ago, but actually I guess it is. But when you're in a situation where this transfer portal thing is a lot different now. So, you might have a teammate 1 year who's gone the next year, these type of things. So for us to come in and develop that bond over 4 years, 3 years, it was great. So it's like you form a relationship that you carry throughout life. Football was just the thing that brought us together. But it's always fun catching up with guys and knowing what they have going on. Like we know Hagens is coaching and things like that. So just to be able to talk to guys and just talk about life now. We were so young back then. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. UVA actually has their spring game coming up this weekend. How do you think that players view that game? And did you really take much away from those at the time?
If I'm gonna be honest with you, and I can say this now because I'm so far removed from it. Like spring ball, you were just looking to get it over with, right? Like the last game, because you become a regular student for the first time in your college career. Like, but it was. I think the thing that Coach Groh was good about was everything we did had a purpose. So in the spring, it was, this week it might be working on power. This week it might be working on pass protection, these type of things. So we took so much of it. But the goal in the spring is to always just get better, see what young guys can do, and get out of it healthy. That's the main thing, just to get out of spring healthy. And after spring ball is over, you signed up for classes. You probably done with classes about 2:00 in the afternoon. So now you just get to go live your life as a regular college student now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you played for Coach Groh. He kind of had a reputation of being kind of a gruff, all business type guy. Is that what he was like with you guys as well, or how was he?
The thing, what Coach showed on the outside, and it's crazy you say that because when you were talking about catching up with guys, like Coach Groh invites us all. I just got a text maybe yesterday. Like Coach Groh sends out a group text every year to invite guys to his house, and we talk football. So,
wow.
Like you go out there, and it's like he has sessions. It's like going with a coach. So I just got this text yesterday in the group text. But inside the locker room, Coach was he was business. He was business first, but he was one of those guys that you would try to run through a wall for him because you knew he would take care of you, but you knew you had to give him everything you had. Once he saw that you were brought in, he was willing to do anything for us. So to the media, he did come off as like this, just straight business, but he came from the NFL.
Right.
And in the NFL, the guys say he was hard on them. But I guess it's when you say hard is what you come from, right? Like I grew up in the 757 Newport News. So to me, this was normal. Like you work hard, you bust your butt, and you give it what you got. So I didn't see it as any different. I just saw it as somebody who was our leader and just ready to run through the wall for him.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeff and I think we had season tickets in that time frame, in your years while you were there. And I remember being really excited when we got Coach Groh because, like you say, he came from the NFL. He was the Jets head coach and had been 8-8, and then he left that to come to take a college job, which was at that time, that was unheard of.
Yeah.
To leave an NFL head coaching job that you weren't fired from,
mm-hmm.
And come take a college job. So that was, we were excited. And he had a nice run at UVA. But but anyway, we fun question, and I'm gonna put you on the Mount Rushmore of linemen at UVA. Who would you put up there with you? Because there's a lot of good ones that have come around your time frame, yeah. Shortly before, shortly after.
Man, it's when you talk about the great linemen, like I think when I came to the school, it was one of those things of who's great, like who do you want to be like, who would you want to just emulate your game after, and of course like he was the that was one of the guys in my time, like the Brickenshaw Ferguson. And then after me, I think we kind of started that run, like my year. And after me, it was just a run of me, the Brickenshaw, Brandon, Morgan. Like, it was just kind of putting UVA linemen back on the map, because I felt like at one point we were a strong offensive line school, and it was at that time the Notre Dames, the Alabamas, they were getting all the credit for the having great offensive linemen. And I think once we broke, I want to say my junior season, we broke into that top 10 in the country rushing average. So people started to pay attention and things like that. But I never always say I felt like I was good, but when it comes to Mount Rushmore, it's like so many guys I think that paved the way for me to even be mentioned in that. It was, I think I was the like Ray Roberts.
Oh yeah.
I think at the time it was only like, back when I came out, I want to say it was like 5 guys that may have won at Jacobs twice, and I think 2 of them was at UVA. So it's a testament of greatness through there. So I never say, hey, I think I'm one of the greats. I do think I put in the work, and you get out what you put in.
Yeah. So, when you got called to have your number retired, how was that coming back? And, did you expect it, or was it just out of the blue?
It was definitely out of the blue. And I remember what I was talking with one of my buddies, because I had missed the call. And so I got a message, and I'm like, man, what do you want? I'm just playing like, yeah, what we gonna retire my jersey? And I listened to the message, and that's what he like, so I called, but it was a I guess a full circle moment. Like I just said, you get out what you put in. And me coming into UVA, like I would have never imagined. Like, my goal was to go in there, graduate. My mother wanted me to graduate. I just wanted to go graduate. And if I got an opportunity at the league, of course I wanted it. But to go in there and be a consistent All-American, 2 times Jacobs, all ACC, but all of those things, I think the thing that stood out to me throughout my career was I got an opportunity to be a team captain, and that meant so much to me that the guys believed in me that much that they voted me a team captain. So out of all awards, that one stuck with me, because without great teammates, without great coaches, you don't get great players. So it's a testament of the guys around me. I had to put in some work, and those guys put in the work with me. But you don't get your jersey retired if you don't play with great people. Like, if you don't play with great players, or you don't have great coaches, like, you don't become great. So it's a testament to those guys for putting in the work as well.
Yeah. So, we're in draft season now, with the NFL draft coming up. What was that like, preparing for that, the combine? And, I know you talked about, you had to wait, I guess, till the 4th round for them to call your name. But just kind of talk about that process.
It was stressful. Like I say, like, a lot of things have changed nowadays. It's like you see guys out there doing backflips and they hugging and high fiving and things like that. Now I'm like, I remember we go out to Indy. They had the AC on in Indy in February. It's cold. It's dark in there. Like, you had to go sit these meetings. It was like, man, it was like a job interview, man. Like, they would put you in these rooms. You had to interview with these teams, and so it wasn't as fun as they're having now, which I'm happy for it. I wish we did get to do the things like they had fans there. They're out there flipping and high fiving, but it was a stressful moment. But I think you just you lock in and you just remember why you're doing it. You're able to get an opportunity that could change your family life, which mine did. I was able to retire my mom and things like that. So you just got to lock in and remember why you're doing it. But it's definitely stressful, but it's all worth it in the end.
Yeah. So you go to Arizona, you get there. You talk about getting away from, Virginia. And while you're in Arizona, you got to play with Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
You got to play with Kurt Warner. What those 2 guys, they're all-time greats in the game. What kind of made them different than other teammates, or just so special?
It's what we just talked about, like your work ethic. Like Kurt would get off of the practice field and just go right back to studying. You get right back in his playbook. And I mean, you coming off the practice field like in the middle of the season. It's like, man, you Kurt Warner, you done won a Super Bowl, like, you know, been like, you don't have to do these things, but it's just it's once it's ingrained in you and it's instilled in you, it's like no different. So just to watch him go about his daily business, even on the plane, like he would actually sit behind me because we would sit in the exit row, so he was sitting behind me, and just to watch him, like we're on the plane back then. That's when they had the portable DVD players, so like, you know how old we are. But everybody up there listening to, either listening to music or watching movies, and this guy's watching film.
Wow.
Fitz was the same way. Fitz was just a hard worker. It's like, okay, I got to catch this many footballs today. Like I can't leave until I catch this many, and it's a testament to him. I think in his career he had more tackles than drops. But when you watch a guy like that, and watch how he works, you see why. Like I got to catch 100 footballs today. I mean, he gonna catch 100 straight, but it's a testament to the Super Bowl run. I mean, what he did in the playoffs is still one of the best playoff runs ever. But it's like he just prepared for that moment. He just didn't know when it was gonna happen, but he was already ready for that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to say, speaking of the Super Bowl, I know you played in the Super Bowl 43 against Pittsburgh. What was it like to play in a Super Bowl? And unfortunately, do you still think about that catch by Santonio Holmes in the corner?
I always think about it. It's I think it's a gift and a curse because it was one of the best Super Bowls played. So with that being one of the best Super Bowls played, of course, it's always replayed, which brings up those memories. But it's one of those things where you say guys play 10, 15-year careers and never go to the Super Bowl. So to be able to be on that stage, and it's the biggest game in the sport that you love. And if we're being honest, I think it's the biggest game in the world, like outside of the U.S. Cup, the World Cup. I think it's one of the biggest games in the world. So to be on that stage and have that opportunity and actually play a great game, like a lot of people didn't give us a lot of credit that year. They didn't give us a chance in the Super Bowl. So to be able to be up, and win that game at I think it was 1:40 left to be winning, and give ourselves an opportunity. It was just a great experience. We didn't come out with the win, but that's football. You win some, you lose some.
No doubt. And there's only one team that's celebrating when it's all said and done. So
exactly
to get all the way to that point.
Yeah.
You played in the NFL for 4 seasons. Did you have any offers to continue to play, or did you just decide to retire?
It was so at that time, like my second season. So in my first season, midway through my rookie season, I ended up tearing my meniscus. So I tore my meniscus, I think 8 games into the season. Again, it's one of those things where this is my job. Like I don't know anything else but football, so I kind of rushed to get back. I don't think I should have came back that season. I did. It is what it is. And so the next season, going into the off season, I tore it again. So I think I tore it lateral, and then I tore it the other way the second time. So it was one of those things where eventually, like after my 4th season, it's like, well, you got to get this surgery, which basically is at that time, it was like a rubber meniscus that they put in. And you kind of it's like weight burn for like 12 months. So you're on crutches for almost like 9-10 months. So it's just like, okay, look, I'm 100% vested. I played this game. I love this game, but I think it's time to see what else is out there. And it's probably one of the hardest decisions to make when in your mind you're like, yeah, I want to play 10 to 12 years, but ultimately, everything works out the way it's supposed to. So I was able to retire and 100% vested, and so now it's still taken care of in that sense. So that was a blessing.
Yeah, that's great. Switching gears a little bit, I know you coach at Newport News Apprentice School as an offensive coordinator. Are you restricted in any way of having much contact with the UVA program right now?
No. The thing about coaching at apprentice school is, I mean, they're working. We're working on getting to the point of in that D3, D2 model. So, but it was before this NIL thing came, our guys were already getting paid because they were working and things like that. So, it's for us to break into that market. There's some things that have to be done. Our ADs and things like that have been working around the clock on trying to get that done. But in the meantime, no, I don't have any restrictions. Even when it comes to like recruiting, just being able to, in certain schools you got dead periods and things like that. We don't have those rules. We kind of follow the D3 model, but we're still like an independent, if we're being honest.
Gotcha. Has Coach Elliott reached out at all to welcome you to come for a visit or anything?
I spoke to him when he first took the job. He came. He was in the 757 when he first took the job, and they came by. I think at that time Hagens was still there, so him and Marcus came through, and we talked and things like that. So he said, look, he always wants guys to come back and things like that. The hard part about me is I coach the same sport, so it's like the time frame is difficult, but I definitely want to get back up that way.
Hopefully when the new facility opens, there'll be some kind of a homecoming for all the guys to come back and check things out.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I definitely look forward to it.
Oh yeah. Do you have any aspirations to coach at the D1 or NFL level one day?
Yeah, I think it's no different than when you play this game. Like you want to compete on the highest level. So now it's like, yeah, you want to coach on the highest level. Right now, I'm having a ball where I'm at. My son he'll be 2 this October, so being able to be home and be here and spend so much time with him. He missed my whole career, so it's one of those things where I get to spend time and he gets to see me coach now. So I'm happy where I'm at right now. If the opportunity comes about, of course we're going to look into it and see what happens. Right. But I'm so excited right now about just being able to still do what I love to do and still spend time with my family.
So UVA or Elliott needs to be coming and going ahead and recruiting that 2-year-old son of yours.
Yeah, I told him we're gonna get him out there.
It's never too early.
Yeah, we'll get him in the backyard, start kick stepping, and on this next birthday that comes up, we're gonna be kick setting by then.
That's right. I mean, and it seems like UVA should have an interest in bringing a legend like yourself home to coach.
Yeah, like I said, if that door opens and it presents itself, I'll be ecstatic. I'll love it. Even if it's not to coach the offensive line and just to be able to give back to the program. The program has given me so much, changed my life, changed my family's life. So to be able to give back in any aspect or way that I can, I'll be excited about it.
I was gonna say you could put us down as a reference. However, it might deter them from hiring you. So
no, I'm pretty sure.
We got UVA security and law enforcement following us on X. So I think they got their eyes on us.
I think they're
last question I have for you. Do you have any interest or charities or anything that you'd like to share before we let you go?
So I had a youth football league that I was doing. So when COVID hit, a lot of the coaches that we had kind of went to the high school level. So it kind of fizzled out. I still have my foundation and things like that, and we do things here and there. It's called Shutdown 757 Academy. That's what our football team was. So it's on a smaller scale now, and with me being at apprentice school, I didn't have the time to run it like I wanted to. So it's kind of like the football piece we let go, but eventually I think we're going to get back into football, basketball, baseball, and cheer like we did have. So I look forward to it. But at the moment right now, it's just Thanksgiving feeds, Christmas shop, things like that, just community events right now.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, we certainly appreciate your time and look forward to seeing your coaching career potentially continue. Maybe one day we'll see you on staff in Charlottesville. So awesome talking to you. Some fantastic and hilarious stories. But have a great evening, Elton.
You too. Thank you guys for having me.
Hey, thank you for coming on. We enjoyed it.
And there you have it, folks. Elton Brown, we want to thank him once again for coming on. Those were some we say this every time when we have a former UVA great on. Some fantastic stories, some funny stories. Just overall great guy to listen to. I really enjoyed listening to him. You guys had thoughts, Dad?
Yeah, I was entertained with all of his stories. It was interesting to hear when he was a freshman and Al Groh, decided things were going rough and you want to play? And he said, yeah, on special teams. He said, yeah, I just want to get on the field. And to go out there and block a kick, I think what he said in the Duke game, of course, it's nothing. It's Duke. It's Duke football. But blocking a kick, that's crazy. You think about your offensive lineman coming out there and blocking the kick. That's awesome. And then I can picture it, him celebrating. He said he was running around the field celebrating, and I can just envision that thing. Great stories. Brings back good memories. I know for me and Jay going to the games and talking about Al Groh coming in. And funny enough, the last thing I'm gonna mention on this is, we talked to Junior Burrow. What did Junior Burrow say? Jeff Jones contacts him every year and they get together for a cookout. And what's Elton Brown say? Al Groh contacts him every year. And it's crazy because these guys have coached so many people, but contacts them every year. Come over. Let's hang out. Let's talk football. And I'm sure Elton Brown probably soaks that stuff up too now, especially with he's coaching at the apprentice school and hoping to, he wants to become the best at the coaching industry as well. So what's your thoughts, Jay?
Yeah, I think I really enjoyed his welcome to the NFL story with Bryant Young.
Yeah, that's play.
Can you imagine? I wish we could have had a clip of that.
No
doubt.
If
we'd have known he was going to say that, see if we could have found it. But no, everything he's done great at, right? I mean, great high school player, great college player, really good NFL career, like you said, fully vested. And after the 4 years, without the injuries, he would have played longer, I think. But I can definitely see where he would, relate really well to the young guys today, and I think he'll, that's good. We're going to be a good recruiter, and I think he'll be a great coach for, right now is the apprentice school, and they've actually had some success lately, and I would love to see him get an opportunity because you want guys who it means something to in your program. And what is it, how could it mean more to someone than somebody who's got their jersey retired there? Obviously he wants to elevate the program even more. So that was kind of my takeaways. I really enjoyed it. And just a great guy.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great time. So again, thank you, Elton. That was awesome having you on. We appreciate you very much. So moving on here, we want to introduce a couple new segments to our program tonight. The first is UVA Spotlight Athlete of the Week. Dad, who gets that honor this week?
Yeah, so, when trying to decide who was going to be our inaugural first UVA Athlete of the Week, it couldn't have come at a better time, I guess you could say, is this guy right here, who announced today he's going to enter the NBA draft. We've been talking. We were hoping somebody was going to back the Brinks truck up to his dorm and unload a pile of money to get him to come back for one more year. But it's not going to happen. And you could just see it here. 4-year starter, 2-time ACC Defensive Player of the Year, the all-time steals leader at UVA, 3rd all-time in assists. Just this season, he was only 2 assists shy of John Crotty's single-season record. All we can say to Reese Beekman is thank you. And in a Tony Bennett era, a 4-year starter, those are few and far between. And so Jay, what kind of takes do you have on Reese?
Yeah, I think it's an appropriate week, and for him to, it's kind of like a parting gift from us to him. Although there's no actual gift, it's it's our way to commemorate though his time at Virginia. He poured a lot into the program. He came into the program at a really good place, coming off the national championship. And, you think about Virginia kind of as a point guard school. It's very rich in point guard history. I mean, you could go through the list of names at point guard that's been at Virginia, and there's a lot of really good ones. But you'd be hard-pressed if you were ranking them, you would rank Reese really high. And so, he was a warrior. He always played. You always could count on him. Did he ever miss a game from injury? Like I don't remember that. If he did,
I don't recall.
I think last year when he had that, or maybe it was Ryan. I feel like it was Beekman. He had something happen against JMU. I think so. I think
he did get hurt.
He wasn't at
early in the
100%.
season.
Either he played but not 100%, or you might have missed like a game or two. I can't remember. But
yeah, I mean,
either way, I get your point though. I get your point.
Yeah, you could count on him, and his will to win was always obvious on the court. The way he played defense, and in close games, the way he just would sometimes, especially this year, would just kind of will the team to victory. Because a lot of nights he was the only guy that could put the ball in the hole. And while he wasn't known for being a scorer, this year he had to be that a little bit more. And I think he's just a top-notch college player that should be celebrated, because when you're in a portal era, when he could have easily decided for his last year, he wanted to go chase a championship, because I think realistically we kind of knew this wasn't a championship roster this year. But he didn't do that. He stayed true to Coach Bennett. And if anybody's, really about the pillars, I would say it's Reese Beekman. So the highest respect for him, and wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah, no doubt. Yep. And as it says on our presentation there, thank you, Reese.
Yep. I'd say one of the main reasons, not the only reason, but one of the biggest reasons why Virginia has been relevant in the last couple of weeks, he's kept them afloat, I'd say, while having some supporting cast like Ryan Dunn, Isaac McNeely, and a couple others. He's been the support. He's been the guy. He fits that UVA mold, being the defensive guy, being the defensive player of the year, all them steals, great passer with shades of K.A. Clark as the passer, but I mean, just all around great athlete. He also, one of my favorite probably my favorite Reese Beekman moment, hitting the buzzer beating 3 to take down Duke at Cameron Indoor. You can't never forget about that. So great all around athlete. We love you, Reese. We appreciate you. Other than that, our last segment is another new one. It is Jay's 3 best bets of the week. Since Jay has been hot with his picks, and not me, don't worry, you don't got to try and go opposite. Since Jay has been hot with his picks, we are going to get his best 3 picks each week for you, the viewer. Jay, what do you got this week?
Well, this is a good way to cool me off, right? Give me a segment, and we'll see how fast I can blow it. But this one I'll have a chance to look at for quite a while, because I'm looking at over-unders for the ACC upcoming football season. And if you watched the ACC Huddle show Friday night, you saw Jeff and I on discussing, we had a draft of over-unders where, the ones we liked the most, we would take turns picking, and, until we gotten through all the ACC schools. So you can go back and find that on the College Huddle YouTube channel. But so my first bet that I'm going to discuss is I'm going to look at the Clemson over under at 9.5. So first, let me just say I'm taking the under here. Not that Clemson's going to be a bad team, not that I think they're going to have a losing season or anything like that. But when you're looking at a team that has to win 10 games to hit that over mark, well, let's look at the schedule here. You've got Georgia as the opener, and that game's in Atlanta. Okay, Clemson's down a little bit now. This is not the Clemson that was in the Lawrence days or the Deshaun Watson days. And Georgia is probably the top program in the country at this point. So you're going to more than likely be starting 0-1, which means you can only lose one game the rest of the way to hit that 10. And when I look at the schedule, App State's not a bad team. Not that I expect them to lose that game. NC State is a very losable game. They got a very good team. At Florida State is a game that they will probably be an underdog in when they go to Tallahassee. Louisville this year, I think, is going to surprise a lot of people and be very good. And then Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech. That is a game that right now I will tell you I will pick Virginia Tech to pull that upset. And then they close with South Carolina. And that's just the games that I'm talking about that I think could potentially be losses. So to say that they could only lose 2 games, I see no way they do that. I think they finish – actually, I would take them to probably finish 8-4. And so I definitely like the under 9.5. So for my next one, going through the over-unders for the ACC, I'm going to let Jeff pull it up. This a lot as well. Miami's coming in this year with an over-under of 9.5. Again, let's look at the schedule. You can only lose 2 games. Now, Florida's a little bit down this year, but at the Swamp to open the season, the thing about a team that's bad in the early part of the season is that they don't know they're bad yet. So Florida is an SEC school that's very proud. They're going to be playing at home. That is not going to be a game that is going to be an easy win. And I think Florida's going to give them all they want. And if I may even pick them to pull an upset in that situation. But even if they win that game, I think they lose to Virginia Tech. They have to travel to Cal. And I think that's something that's going to be an interesting thing to watch this year is how do the ACC teams do when they travel to the West Coast? Because it's kind of a new – some teams have traveled out there for games before, they'll play a random USC game or random UCLA, but it'll be interesting to see how that trip goes. And then at Louisville, I think that's a loss. Versus Florida State, I think that's a loss. And then you've got other games that obviously, you got to go out and win the games you should win. So, again, I think Miami's going to be good, 8-4, 9-3 good, not 10-2 good. And my last one, this one hurts my heart. This one really hurts my heart as the Cavalier Connection co-host. But this is actually the one I feel the best about. So let's look at the Virginia Tech over-under. And daggone Hokies. They probably the easiest schedule you could possibly put together, right? At Vanderbilt. So they're playing an SEC school on the road. That sounds real tough until you see it's Vanderbilt who routinely loses, double-digit games or, 9 games. Marshall at home, that's a revenge game. You don't have to worry about them not being up because Marshall beat them last year. So they'll be up for that one. At ODU is actually a game that I could see them getting tripped up, but I don't think Old Dominion's going to be as talented this year. So unfortunately, I think they will go in and win that one in a big Hokie crowd there to boot. Rutgers at Miami is a tricky game that they could lose, but again, I'm not big on Miami. I see them underachieving like they have done recently. Where is the game that you look and say, oh, they're going to lose that one? Clemson is home, and here's my guess. That game will be a night game when it comes time to play. Unfortunately, folks, as we sit here today, I see this as a 10-win team with potential to be a sneaky playoff contender based on the schedule and Drones staying healthy. They have the top-ranked quarterback in the quarterback rankings that were put out by for the ACC, and so they return the most percentage of production for any Division I team. So you bring a lot of people back, and it's a recipe for a really good year for Virginia Tech. And as much as that really pains me to say, but that's probably my favorite bet on the board right now is Virginia Tech over 7.5.
Well, I have written all those down. So we had over 9.5 Clemson, over 9.5 Miami, and under 7.5 Virginia Tech. Is that correct?
That is incorrect, sir.
Oh, okay.
Go place
Like
your
the
bets now.
Lions. It's like the Lions on Thanksgiving Day. They called tails, and the ref says they called heads. Oh my! Well, I've got you documented down, folks. I don't know what to say about this. Go make your preseason bets now. Jay's been hot. Go on to DraftKings, see what you can lay. If you're in the state of Virginia listening to us, you might need to drive to Maryland or somewhere else to bet the Virginia Tech one. Lay it as a parlay, bet them individually. Lay it as a parlay right now. It might win you a little bit of money here early on. But that's Jay's top 3 picks of the week. So look forward to those segments each week, and the ACC or the UVA Spotlight Player of the Week as well. Other than that, we got any closing thoughts?
Yeah, so we got the spring game on Saturday. I'll be at that. I'll try to get some videos for us to maybe throw up in the next week's episode. I'm also going to be at the baseball game after the spring game, so maybe if I can and get some footage of that as well. And baseball had a tough loss at Old Dominion last night. Played at Harbor Park. Those midweek games are tricky. I wouldn't look into it too much, but good series this weekend with Georgia Tech. And, excited to see what the football team looks like and just hope everybody stays healthy. That's the main thing, like Elton said.
Yeah.
Jack, you got anything?
Yeah. As always, just follow us on X, Facebook, and all the jazz. At Talk UVA Sports on Twitter or X, and at Cavalier Connection on everything else, whether it's Facebook, Spotify, YouTube. I think I got them all. I'm missing one, but be sure to follow us everywhere. We put a lot of content. When I say we, Jay puts a lot of content on X and Facebook. A lot of fun fan interaction stuff. So always keep posted on there. And I mean, other than that, the more and more we talk about football, I'm excited for football season, see what this team has in store for us this year. So with that, go Hoos.
One more thing before we go Hoos. Jeff, I guess you got something too.
Yep.
If you see me at the spring game, come up and say hello. I'll have on the Cavalier Connection shirt.
I might be there.
Come say hello.
I might try and be there.
Yeah.
I might.
And so also, is we're looking for sponsors for the program. So if you're in the Charlottesville area, if you're a business, if you think you know a business in the Charlottesville area that what we're trying to do is sponsor business or, have sponsors of businesses that we feel like UVA fans would appreciate and would work well with and would appreciate the service that, is being offered. So we want to connect UVA fans with businesses that are owned by UVA fans, preferably. But if you have any recommendations, you can put them in the comments. We would love and appreciate that very much.
Yep. And also go to thecollegehuddle.com. All sorts of great articles, all the podcasts on there. Give us a like and a follow, but also listen to some of those other podcasts as well. Some great podcasts on there to listen to. And also Friday night, the ACC Huddle will be on the ACC Huddle hosting. We have NC State's Red White podcast. We did an interview with them discussing the Cinderella run that they made this past season through the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament. And also we will be talking with Plant the Spear podcast, the Florida State podcast. We're going to talk a little spring football and hopefully maybe a surprise guest. That's in the works. We'll see. But definitely tune in Friday night, 9 o'clock on YouTube. You can go to the College Huddle on YouTube and tune in to the ACC Huddle. It'll also be on X, off of the Cavalier Connection Twitter feed, and on the College Huddle on X as well. Other than that, we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a great evening, and go Who's.
Go Who.
Who's.